If you want to make money on UFC 318, watch this video. I'm going to give out my lock of the week, my underdog of the week, and various props at plus money that will hit before you run off and watch some dickhead who's never been in a cage before and doesn't understand MMA and has no knowledge on what they're fucking putting out there to thousands of people and telling people to put their money on. Watch this video because I've made two videos, very new channel. I've made a video on UFC 317 and UFC Nashville. Both cards that I've posted videos on have shown to be profitable. Following last week, lock of the week hit. We also hit a $12.50 odd prop in the Volta Walker round one submission. We hit Fatima Klein by finish. We hit Chris Curtis by decision. So my picks are profitable picks. I understand MMA. I'm not some retard on the internet speaking dribble. So watch this video. I'm going to give out my lock of the week, my underdog of the card, and various props at plus money that will win you money if you decide to take my advice. So we're going to start with the main event. Alternatively, in the main event, I am going to be picking Max Holloway. He's younger. He's got less miles on the clock here. Without no mistake, Dustin Poirier can win. He definitely can win, and I do think this will be a close fight. But I'm not really going to be betting here on the fighter itself. There is a prop in this fight that I will use for the lock of the week. Now, lock of the week for me, if you're new and you're not watching, you haven't watched before, sorry. Lock of the week has to be plus money. So it could be one leg, it could be 5 legs, it could be accumulation of legs. It just has to be at plus money. So for lock of the week, we are going to be taking the Max Holloway and Dustin Poirier fight to go the distance. Now, they have fought twice. The first time they fought, Poirier won by an armbar. The second time they fought, Poirier won by a decision. Both guys are hard to finish. Both guys have pretty decent chins. I do not see this fight not going. I don't see this fight finishing inside the distance at all. I don't think Max Holloway poses a big threat of finishing potential. I mean, sure, he got that knockout against Gaethje just because they threw down the center and Gaethje's retarded with 10 seconds left. But even with Poirier, if there is someone to finish the fight, I think it is Poirier because he does possess more power. But at 36, I just think he's not looking himself. His output is decreased. Max Holloway, as you can see on the screen, does have a higher significant strikes landed per minute. And I just feel like he's going to have the higher output in this fight. I do believe it's going to be a close fight. It's going to come down to a 3-2 decision for either man. I am going to be picking Max Holloway, but for lock of the week, leg number 1 out of 2, we're going to be taking this fight to go the distance. Now, it's paying $1.77. Honestly, Poirier... these guys have fought each other before, so I just feel like it's going to be a similar in a sense, but not too similar to the second fight. They're gonna go up there. They're gonna start off a little bit slow. They're gonna mix it up. I don't expect it to be a very entertaining fight. I kind of see it being like the Max Holloway Justin Gaethje fight. You know, it wasn't really entertaining until that 5th round. It wasn't. It was actually an overrated fight. I think in the 5th round, they're going to start to kind of go for it. Poirier's going to go for it and kind of be like, I realize it's his last moment. It's his last round of his career. He's going to put the foot on the gas and they're going to have a little exchange in the last 15, 20 seconds. But other than that, I just don't see the fight. I think it's going to be a glorified sparring match, if I'm being honest. That's just how I see the fight going, and I'm very, very confident that the fight does go to the distance. Max Holloway, apart from the Justin Gaethje knockout, which came in 1 second and, even happened just because of Gaethje's IQ, he hadn't won by a finish in a very long time. And neither with Poirier, except for the Benoit Saint Denis finish. Got finished by Gaethje, had the decision with Islam. I feel like now Poirier's older, his finishing potential has now dropped. This is what's led me to my first leg, which is Dustin Poirier versus Max Holloway, fight to go the distance. That is leg number 1 for lock of the week. That is at $1.77. Now, to get the lock of the week at plus money and to meet the requirements, for leg number 2, we are going to be taking Bruno Ferreira. Now, If you're in Australia, these two legs paired together will get you at about $2.15 to $2.20 odds, which is what I got. Very, very confident in this lock of the week. Um, like I said, the first leg, Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier, fight to go the distance. So either fighter can win the decision. We just need the fight to go 5 rounds, which is very likely, and I'm very confident in. And now in this fight, we've got a 6-0 prospect, Jackson McVeigh, versus Bruno Ferreira, 13-2. He's got double the amount of experience Bruno Ferreira does. He's had multiple fights in the UFC, multiple great wins, including a knockout victory over Gregory Rodriguez, Dustin Stoltz versus spinning back elbow, that one was. Phil Hawes, Armin Petrosian last time out even got a submission, which I was not expecting. I actually picked Armin Petrosian to win that fight, if I'm being honest. I thought Petrosian was going to outpoint him and win a decision, but Bruno proved me wrong and got the victory. Jackson McVeigh, the level of competition he's been fighting on the regional scene just isn't anything compared to Bruno Ferreira itself or to who Bruno has been fighting. The likes of Abus Magomedov, Gregory Rodriguez, Nursultan Ruzaboyev, these are all incredible names and opponents that Jackson McVeigh has never even been in the cage with. So I think he's a very young and raw prospect. And yeah, it's just too big of a step up in competition. He does have a very big height advantage and reach. But I just think once Ferreira lands, he's just going to put him out of there. I think Jackson McVeigh is going to try and grapple. He's going to try and get the takedowns. And I could see him getting Ferreira down at one point. Even could, controlling him out at the end of round one, maybe if you can make it that far. But I just feel like the longer the fight goes, we're just going to see the discrepancy in skill, and we could end up in a sprawl position and Ferreira looking for a guillotine or a dash choke or a submission himself. But I feel like Ferreira is going to get him out of there, and I'm very confident in this. I never like picking a guy that goes from unranked and to get someone in the top 8 straight away rather than someone at 13, 14, or 15. And this is just even worse. A UFC debutant versus someone who's just outside of the rankings. It's a big step up in competition. So that's going to be our lock of the week. Now, last week we did hit our lock of the week. That was Chris Curtis by decision. We cashed on that. This week it's going to be Bruno Ferreira money line paired with the Max Holloway Dustin Poirier fight to go the distance. So that fight to go the distance plus Bruno Ferreira money line at plus money, that is our lock of the week. I'm very confident in that. Now we are going to move on to our underdog of the card. Now, normally every card by default, there's at least one underdog that I do think is going to win. And I do think, wow, those odds are stupid. But for this card, that wasn't really the case. And I do know, okay, I do have to give out an underdog. Who do I think is most likely to win? And it bared down to a couple of people. Nicole Calarari was one. She's got double the experience of Carly Judice. She's very talented, 100% finishing rate. She's the more well-rounded fighter. As we scroll on, Marvin Vittori was also a consideration. He was also a consideration. Even Paulo Costa, believe it or not. Now, Paulo Costa, that's based on if he does mix in the grappling, and which I do think he will. I think he is going to change things up, but we'll get to that fight later. But for our underdog of the week, we are going to be going with Patricio Pitbull. Now, a lot of casuals. I'm not saying I'm super confident in this, but if there is an underdog on the card that I am confident in, it's Patricio Pitbull. Now, I do actually think he will win this fight. I do think it will be close, though. But I am going to be picking Pitbull. So, my reason to believe that and why Pitbull is going to win is Dan Ige. He's got a lot of holes in his game. He's got a lot of holes. It's well known that his best attributes is his toughness. He's very hard to finish. He's never been finished. Diego Lopez couldn't get him out of there even with a big opening 2 rounds. Submission attempts, a locked in dash choke. He's very hard to put away. But Dan Ige, the way I see Dan Ige winning this fight is he has to get Patricio out of there. He has to knock him out, which Patricio has been finished before, but he's not an easy guy to get out of there. Yair Rodriguez struggled to put him away. Then the fight went to the ground, and Patricio showed his BJJ off, and he's not BJJ off, but he showed that he's skilled on the ground and he is a threat. I feel like Patricio Pitbull is the more well-rounded fighter in this matchup. Dan Ige is the better boxer. I feel like he's got more power in his hands. Patricio Pitbull just puts everything together better. Um, Watching the Dan Ige and Korean Zombie fight in particular was big for me because I saw a guy like Korean Zombie who's not very good on the ground, who's not well known for his grappling, be able to take Dan Ige down for 5 rounds consecutively, takedown after takedown after takedown, take the back of Ige, control him, get on top of him, land strikes, land damage. And that really built in confidence for me to pick Patricio Pitbull because I do believe that Pitbull's going to take him down. I do believe that he is going to attempt to and will get him down at will. And it's night and day on the ground. Patricio Pitbull's severely underrated, as in jiu-jitsu wise. He's got great jiu-jitsu. He's great on the ground. Now, rewatching that Yair Rodriguez fight, he actually wasn't that bad. I remember when I first watched it live, I thought, wow, that wasn't a good performance at all. But it actually wasn't terrible. Yair Rodriguez is a very difficult opponent, very tricky opponent, especially for your UFC debut. Um, I honestly think Dan Ige would lose worse than how Patricio did. Patricio did have his moments. Um, Round one, he got him down at the end, got on top, finished the round on top. He did still lose the round. He got outpointed, but he didn't get wobbled or hurt badly or anything. Ended on top. Round two, he landed some good shots. He went forward. He landed the right hand. He landed the left hook. And a guy like Ige is going to be able to find those shots easier. He's not longer. He doesn't have a much bigger reach than him. He's not further away in the sense of distance. He can close the distance easier against a guy like Ige rather than Yair. And he's not going to be intimidated in the sense of that flashy style. And I don't think he's going to be as hesitant either. I feel like Patricio Pitbull knows what he needs to do here. He knows his path to victory, and it is a must-win for him. His second fight in the UFC, he has to get a win over Dan Ige here. He has to. I don't really understand the odds. Dan Ige was pretty decently sized underdog in his last fight against Sean Woodson, and now he's a big favourite against Patricio Pitbull. I think Pitbull easily beats Woodson. I think he takes him down and he mauls him. But Pitbull's going to be the pick for our underdog of the week. I do think that Pitbull's going to mix in the takedowns. He's going to have kind of that Henry Cejudo stance. He's going to chop at the leg. And I do believe that his path to victory is mix up all his weapons here, use the calf kicks, and get the takedowns, mix in the takedowns. And I do think he will mix them in, and I think he will. That's how I think Patricio is going to win the fight, is mixing in the takedowns. And I think as long as he does do that, he will win. Dan Ige has shown that he does not have very good takedown defense. Bryce Mitchell was able to repetitively get him down. Korean Zombie just controlled him for 5 rounds. I know that was a while ago, but I do think that if Zombie can do that, Patricio can do that. And Patricio could even find a submission on the ground. I feel like he could get to side control, find a Kimura. But I do think he's going to win a decision, a 29-28 decision. We're not going to spend too much time on this, but Patricio Pitbull is my underdog of the week. I do believe that he's going to get the job done via decision. Now, moving on to our props. Very confident in this pick. Our prop for this one is going to be Daniel Zellhuber by knockout. Now, Michael Johnson is 39 years old. He is very old. He's on the tail end of his career. And it's just, I don't trust Michael Johnson against a guy like Daniel Zellhuber to be in there for 15 minutes. Zellhuber comes forward. He has a very high significant strikes landed per minute tally at 6.26. He comes forward, he mixes up all his weapons correctly. He doesn't just spam the 1-2s and spam the jab and keep it range and look for the calf kicks and the jabs and just win a decision. No, he comes forward, he throws big shots, he mixes up his weapons correctly. throws his 1-2s, he throws his hooks, he mixes in his uppercuts, he throws his knees up the middle, which I really like in this matchup. Michael Johnson sometimes dips his head while he throws that big left hand from southpaw. I feel like Zellhuber can time a knee up the middle here. I feel like he's going to go forward and he's just going to land that shot, kind of like what Jalen Turner did to Bobby Green. He's just going to land a simple shot, land on the side of the ear of Johnson. We're going to see him wobble, and Zellhuber's going to get the TKO. He is the much taller opponent in this fight. I think it's 2 to 3 inches of height discrepancy. The youth, 13 years younger, he's got a lot less tread on the tires in the sense he's not been in so many wars. We did see that big KO by Carlos Ferreira on Michael Johnson about 2 years ago. If Carlos Ferreira is doing that to you, then Daniel Zellhuber's getting you out of there. And just the amount of significant strikes that Zellhuber lands a minute, one of them is going to put him away. I believe inside the 9 to 8 minute mark before round 3 begins. He's going to get him out of there. He's going to land like a right hook around the guard or an uppercut. Or he's just going to land a shot, and it's going to be an accumulation of punches, which I like from Zellhuber. He has very good volume. He's actually a very talented fighter, and I think that he will go far in the lightweight division. But that's going to be prop number 1. That is plus money. That is nearly 3 times your money. Daniel Zellhuber by knockout. I'm very confident in that leg. So that is prop number 1. Now, prop number 2, I'm also very confident in. That is Vinicius Oliveira to defeat Kyler Phillips in round 3 or decision. Now, I'm not saying round 3 or decision as in pick your poison. I'm saying that is the leg as a whole. Round betting, it is Vinicius Oliveira to win in round 3 or decision. So he can win in round 3 by submission or knockout, or he can win a decision. That is at nearly 3 times your money. Also, Kyler Phillips, he impressed me with his Pedro Munoz performance. I thought, wow, this guy's a dangerous prospect. And then he fought Rob Font, and he looked like dog shit, and his cardio looked terrible, and he pretty much got fraud checked. And I was thinking, wow, this guy's fucking, his cardio is terrible. His cardio is terrible. Now, he is dangerous on the feet. He does throw flashy kicks. He could catch Vinicius. He could catch him. Vinicius spins and doesn't have good defense at times. And he did get dropped with a big spinning kick in round 1 against Said Nurmagomedov. But I feel like Kyler Phillips is going to fade in this fight. I feel like we could see him take round 1 with a slight edge, but then after that, it's just going to be Vinicius Oliveira going forward like he did in the Said fight. I think it's going to go very, very similar, and he's going to get a decision like he did in that fight, or he's going to find the round 3 TKO. I feel like he can get the takedowns. He can wear on him. He's going to go forward. He's going to throw snapping kicks to the leg, snapping kicks to the body. He's going to go forward. He's going to chop you down. Calf kicks, body kicks, head kicks, body shots. He throws very good body shots in there. I like Oliveira as the fight goes on. He gets stronger. He doesn't have the cardio issue. He has the grit. He bites down on his mouthpiece. I'm very confident in Oliveira to win this fight. At $1.70 odds, if you want to add that as just a parlay piece, go ahead. But for a prop or as well as a parlay piece, I'm going to be taking Vinicius Oliveira by round 3 or decision. I'm very confident in that. So that is prop number 2. Now, prop number 3. I don't know if I'm going to call this a prop, but I'm going to say this is a caution. Be careful on this Islam Dulatov fight. Be fucking careful. Islam Dulatov is very good. He's very talented. But Adam Fugat is big and he is sometimes tricky. He's a veteran in the sense where he's been there, he's done that. He's fought the guys like Michael Morales, Mike Malott. He's coming off a win against Josh Quinlan. I do think Islam Dulatov is going to win. I do think he's going to win. I feel like he's going to get him out of there with a knockout in round 1 or round 2. But Adam Fugat can win this fight. Dulatov does show signs of fade if he isn't going to get that finish in the first 4 to 6 minutes. Then Fugat could take over. And Fugat has done that in the past, where a guy fumbles a finish early and then he takes over and even gets the finish himself. He's done that before. Never count out the crafty vet. I feel like Adam Fugat is definitely in this fight. If he weathers an early storm, if he makes it to round 2, if he mixes it up, he mixes in the takedowns, he chops you down, he uses his kicks, he's got very good front kicks, mixes up his weapons correctly and mixes them all up together. I feel like he can cause a threat to Islam Dulatov. So just a caution, the odds shouldn't be this big. Islam Dulatov is a very impressive prospect, but they just shouldn't be this big. I'd say stay away from this if you're going to add Dulatov just money line to one of your parlays. It's just not worth it for what, $20 extra. It's not worth it. So just a caution on that fight. Now another leg we're going to go with is Jimmy Crute by submission for our prop number 3. Marcin Prachnio, his ground game is dog shit. He's on the older side. He's not in his prime. He's not a very impressive fighter. He is somewhat decent on the fight. He comes from a kickboxing background. But I just feel like Jimmy Crute's going to be able to get the takedowns. That is his path to victory here. If he stands with Prachnio, if it goes to round 2, I am a little bit worried. I feel like Prachnio can definitely just chop him around and take round 2 and 3 off of him and win a 29-28 decision. But my pick for this fight is going to be Jimmy Crute by round 1 submission. Whether you want to take the prop of a round 1 sub or just Jimmy Crute by submission, I would suggest submission, but I do believe it will happen in round 1. I feel like Prachnio's defense, takedown defense is terrible. We've seen him getting taken down by multiple opponents, especially in that Vitor Petrino fight. He was just taken down and rode out for 3 rounds. I feel like Jimmy Crute's going to be able to take him down in round 1. He's going to take him down at will, at ease. I feel like Jimmy Crute's going to take the back and get a rear naked choke, or we're going to end up in a scramble and he's going to get a Darce choke. That's my official prediction. I'm pretty confident in this. Marcin Prachnio is nowhere near as good as Jimmy Crute on the ground. Now, I'm not very confident in Jimmy Crute as a fighter, with the whole retirement thing and his performances against Alonzo Menifield and then Bilardo and fumbling the finish, and he's got a bit of a cardio issue, but I feel like he can get it done against Prachnio, and if he does get it done, it will be by a round 1 submission. But Jimmy Crute by submission is going to be the prop here. And now for our last prop, it is going to be Nicole Cagliari. She's a very underrated women's fighter. They have both got a opponent in particular, and that is Kataskaita. Can't exactly pronounce her first name, but Kataskaita is her last name. She's a very talented women's fighter, so be on the lookout for her. I believe she's going to be in the top 15 in the next 6 to 8 months. She's a very good fighter with wins over both women here. But Nicole Cagliari, she's the more well-rounded fighter. All of her wins come by way of finish, 5 knockouts, three submissions. She does have very good power in her hands, and I like the way she throws her shots. Now, Carly Giudice is the more technical kickboxer. She's the better kickboxer in the sense of technicality-wise. She's very light on her feet. She's got quick feet, which I like. I feel like she will be able to outpoint Nicole Cagliari if she can keep the fight standing. I feel like Nicole Cagliari can get the takedowns in this one, and she will be able to mix them in accordingly. She does have very good left hooks and right hands. She throws, she kind of times them very well. She's very attentive in there. She's not just looking to, throw in a sloppy shot and look for a takedown and just grind out a decision. She's very attentive on the feet, and she's a very good counter striker too. I saw her land various bombs in that fight against Karaskater, and I was survived. Karaskater took them so well, but she's a big girl for the weight class, a lot bigger than Carly Giudice. Nicole Cagliari, she's got nearly double the experience of Carly Giudice here. She's a more well-rounded opponent. I feel like if she does mix in her takedowns, she's definitely very likely to get the job done. I do believe she can get this one done by decision. She can find a submission though if it goes to the ground. She's got much better jiu-jitsu than Carly Giudice. That's just a fact. But I'm going to be picking Nicole Cagliari here to win this fight by decision 29-28 due to her mixing in the takedowns. If Carly Giudice shows good takedown defense and can stop the takedowns, it's her fight to win. So that is going to be our final prop. Just a recap of our props: we have Nicole Cagliari at a money line. We have Jimmy Crute by submission. We have Vinicius Oliveira to win in rounds 3 or decision. We have Daniel Zellhuber by knockout. Our underdog of the week is Patricio Pitbull. And our lock of the week is Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier fight to go the distance, paired with Bruno Ferreira in a two-leg parlay for our lock of the week. So that is going to be it. I'm pretty confident in these picks. I hope you guys can take my advice and win some money. I have shown in my last two videos, and the two videos I've only posted on giving out betting advice, that my picks are profitable. So I'm not just getting on here and speaking dribble like some fucking retard. I know what I'm talking about, and I hope you guys can take my advice and win some money. Thank you for watching.